Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see very important articles that appear in our today's Hindu newspaper dated 24th February 2026. First of all, I'll let you know important topics of the day, and later on we are going to analyze that articles from prelims, mains and interview point of view. And at last, I'm going to give you prelims practice questions as well. Online students, please don't skip this video anywhere. Please try to watch until last so that you will be getting lots of insights regarding how to prepare current affairs for your UPSC point of view. Okay, let us see the topics of the day. The first one is Center unveils policy to tackle terror threats. And this is the first of our country's policy related to this terrorism. Because of this, it becomes very important this year for your prelims. And this topic is very important from your GS paper 3 under internal security defense point of view. Our next topic is adulterated milk claims 4 lives in Andhra Pradesh. Actually, this adulterated milk is becoming a big problem in our food industry. So here we have to see what this adulterated milk is about, and you have to see how this adulterated milk is prepared. So which are the components are used for this adulterated milk. And next we have to see what are the health impacts of this adulterated milk. And this topic is important from your GS paper 2 under governance and as well as from GS paper 3 under science and technology as well. And next topic is interfaith marriages not prohibited under new UP conversion law, says High Court. So this article is talking about law of Uttar Pradesh, which is focusing on conversion of religions. And here we have to connect that law with interfaith marriages. And this article is important from your GS paper 2 under polity. And next topic is Milan 2026 naval exercise. Already I gave you relevant facts regarding that. So you're not going to see the facts. Only you have to revise this once. And next topic is doctors suspect neurotoxin to be reason for seafood poisoning at hotel in Kerala. In Kerala, lots of cases related to this illness of people suddenly is reported. And now, finally, they find the reason behind this. The reason here is consumption of fish egg recipe and as well as some fish which is having neurotoxin. And you have to remember that neurotoxin name. Our next topic is self-reliance key to India's ambition of becoming maritime superpower. So this article is talking about self-reliance and they are connecting with maritime superpower, and this article is at most important. And next topic is stick together. In yesterday's class, we discussed about what is a statement made by Brazil's president, right? The same thing which is given in our today's editorial. It is about India and Brazil have realized the importance of their groupings. And this topic is important from your international relations. And next topic is on the independence of election commission. So this year for sure you may get question on this election commission of India. And there is one more text and context related article is talking about independence of election commission. So here you have to see each and every dimensions of election commission of India, and this will become very important this year. And this is important from your GS paper 2 under polity. Okay, see this title, yes, read out the title. Center unveils policy to tackle terror threats. Okay, this article is talking about terror threats, and this article is talking about policy which our government of India came up with. Okay, if you have following this newspaper, what is happening between Pakistan and Afghanistan? Recently, one suicide bomb attack happened in one mosque of Pakistan, right? We discussed that. And will Pakistan be silent? No. Pakistan started air strikes. Yes, in yesterday's newspaper and day before yesterday's news, the thing which is there in highlights is Pakistan did air strikes on Afghanistan. And in yesterday's news, there is one statement which is given by our Ministry of External Affairs is we are not accepting this kind of retaliation attacks, because this time Pakistan targeted this TPP sites, but many civilians they lost their life in this airstrikes. Okay, so here if our borders are not safe and secure, do we have safety? No. So because of this, India realized that yes, we need to come up with a policy, and this policy has to focus on terrorism, because till now there is no separate dedicated policy in India for terrorism. So we came up with this policy now, and write down the name. Name is Prahar. Prahar. Please make a note of this. Prahar. So how can you get a question from this topic? And it is a first ever our country's policy related to terrorism. So because it becomes a very important thing. So we had many terror attacks in our country. Can you tell me some examples? Recently Pahalgam terror attack. Before that, Pulwama in 2019. Next, Mumbai. Okay, next. Delhi bomb last recently. Uh, uh, Uri attack, Parliament attack. So in the recent past only we had lots of examples of terror attack, and because of these examples we can say that India is vulnerable to this terrorism in future also. Because of this, yes, for sure we need a policy. For education we are coming up with a policy, for health we are coming up with a policy, but why not terrorism? So finally we came up with a policy. So that is Prahar. So how can you expect a question here is, recently Prahar is seen in news. What is this policy related to? And they'll give you ABCD options. This is a very simple type of question. And second type of question you can get here is, recently Prahar policy related to terrorism is in news, or government came up with this policy. Consider the following statements regarding that. And you'll be getting 3 to 4 statements, and they may ask you like how many are correct or incorrect, which are correct or which are incorrect. So these are the two types of questions you can expect from this area, guys, and keep star mark for this. Okay, now let us see this article clearly. What is this Prahar is about? Okay, see here. If you say in this infographic itself, we can understand certain points. India has released its first ever National Counter-Terrorism Policy and Strategy. Please make a note. It is National Counter-Terrorism Policy. It is National Counter-Terrorism Policy and Strategy. National Counter-Terrorism Policy and Strategy. Okay, now let us see in details what is given in this policy and how you can expect a question from those important points. First one is, our Union Home Ministry released the country's first ever anti-terrorism policy. So you may get a statement that this policy is released by Defense Ministry. No, it is Home Ministry. You have to see that ministry. And if you see the PYQs, UPSC has a tendency of changing the ministry. If they're giving any schemes and policies, they will give the statements with wrong ministry, and you have to identify that. That is the first trap will be used by UPSC. It is by Home Ministry, not Defense Ministry. And it is emphasizing that other than terror sponsored from across the border, we have to focus on criminal hackers in our country, and even we have to target even the cyber attacks. Okay, so this Prahar is India's first ever comprehensive anti-terror policy released by Union Home Ministry, and it had been uploaded in Ministry of Home Affairs website also. Because of this, it is very important, and it is going to address different threats. Please make a note of these threats. Which of the following threats are being addressed by this Prahar policy? This is also a possible type of question. So in that, they are focusing on border sponsored terrorism, terrorism across the border. That is the first thing that they are going to address. And next one is cyber attacks by criminal hackers. Cyber attacks by criminal hackers, and even advanced technologies like drones attacks. Drones attacks. So these are the three things that they are going to address. First one is terrorism. Second one is cyber attacks. Third one is attacks by using advanced technology like drones. In which states? Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, and key components includes, they want to protect certain critical economic sectors in our country. Which are those critical economic sectors? We have power, railways, aviation, ports, defense, space, atomic energy. So these are the critical economic sectors that they want to protect under this policy. Okay, why? Because last year, related to our power grid, some hacking happened in Maharashtra state. So because of this, there was no power for 1.5 day in Maharashtra. Because of this, we are targeting our power also now. And you know, railways, recently bomb blast happened in Pakistan in one train. Again, we have to protect our railways. And you know about aviation, many a times hijack can happen. Many movies also represented that. And you know, ports also very important for our trade. And next one here is defense, you know, and space. And next one is atomic energy. So these are the critical sectors they want to protect in our country under this policy. Okay, and next one here is they're also focusing on chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, explosive, digital materials also. Because if they are doing certain terrorism related activities, they'll use chemical weapons. Sometimes they may use biological weapons. For example, COVID-19 is a biological weapon. And next one here is radiological. And next one is nuclear, explosive, or any digital kind of things that may be addressed by this thing. And next one here is this policy involves integrating legal experts from FIR registration to prosecution, and they want to build a strong cases such that they can promote community engagement. And they will also take help of NGOs, volunteers, religions, leaders to prevent radicalization in our society. Yeah, that's it, guys. And even in prisons also, they are focusing on prevention of radicalization of vulnerable inmates. That means under this policy, we will also go for de-radicalization programs in this prisons also, because prisons will be the breeding grounds. I don't know who will be there. Like, we will keep terrorists in that prison only, and we'll keep small other thieves or small accused person in that also. Then what happens is terrorists, they can use this other people to influence and to promote radicalization. So because of this, even in the prisons also, we need to take certain steps to stop this radicalization, expansion of radicalization. For that, they're also seeing in this policy itself. And now you guys tell me, what is the impact of this policy? Why? Because it is the first ever policy in our country to counter terrorism. So tell me, what will be the possible impact? Can we control terror attacks in future? Yes, we can control terror attacks. Next. What can we do? Which sectors we are protecting? We can protect our critical sectors like power, atomic energy, nuclear things, everything. Next. Come on, think. In mains, how can you get a question is, recently, Union Home Ministry released Prahar to counter terrorism. In this context, what are the provisions of this Prahar policy and significance, and what measures can be taken to further improve our security in our country? Like that, they may ask you question. From mains point of view, you have to say about what are the provisions in this policy. Second one is what is significance of this policy. Next, you have to see what are the challenges we are facing in India, and what are the some other measures that you will suggest to the government. So in these areas, you have to prepare for mains. Okay. If you see the impacts of this Prahar policy, first one is we can enhance protection for critical infrastructure in our country. For example, power sector, aviation sector, ports, defense, space, in all those things we can enhance protection. And next one here is we can improve inter-agency coordination. Different agencies like from police people to higher officials, we can improve the coordination so that what happens, fast track case resolution, investigation, everything can happen in this way. And next one here is we can go for increasing of community participation, and even we are going for prison based de-radicalization programs as well. So that what happens, radicalization rate in this young people, especially youth and inmates, will be getting reduced. So that what happens, that will reduce internal conflicts in the jails, and as well as we can control the spread of radicalization in our society. And next one is we can have a stronger legal integration now, and investigation might leads to higher conviction rates, so that what happen in future, we can reduce this kind of incidents in our country. So these are the possible impacts of this policy. Clear? Okay, now let us see the next article. Look at the title. Adulterated milk claims 4 lives in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, keyword here is adulterated milk. So how can you expect a question? India is largest producer of milk in the world, right? That means related to milk, you may get a question in our country. Sorry, in our examination. So actually, last year in 2025, there was a question related to this. Have you heard about this Gokul mission, Rashtriya Gokul mission? I showed you the previous year's question paper. In that I said about Rashtriya Gokul mission. It is about protection of breeds, protection of indigenous breeds of cattle in our country. Gokul means nothing but is related to this cattle related thing, right? So last year the question is about Rashtriya Gokul mission. Now how can you expect a question related to the milk this year? Any idea? Guess. Guess guys, any idea how can you expect a question? First one is basic facts related to milk is one possible area where UPSC can ask a question. India is the largest producer of milk. Okay, so like that they may ask you which are the top 3 largest producers of milk in the world. Is that a possible question? And next one is, have you heard about this Operation Flood? And Operation Flood is a previous year's question also. Operation Flood focuses on increasing of milk production in our country. And even in one of our tests also, I gave you a question related to Operation Flood last time only, I guess. I don't know whether you can remember that question or not. I gave you the question related to this Operation Flood. And recently, White Revolution 2.0 is in news. Yes or no? What is White Revolution is about? Again, increasing of milk. White Revolution, Gold Revolution, Brown Revolution, Blue Revolution, Green Revolution. You will be hearing all these different words, right, in your syllabus. So there is a possible question of White Revolution 2.0. Why this White Revolution is in news now? We are focusing on not only increasing of production of milk, we want to empower women also in this milk related activities. And even India is having an aim of increasing of 50 percentage of more milk within 5 years of strategy. This is said in your budget itself. So because of this, milk will become one possible area UPSC can ask a question. And next you have to see about the schemes related to this cattle in India, like Rashtriya Gokul mission, and even we have artificial insemination method, in vitro method, like that. In science and technology, we'll be studying about some examples and some methods by which we are trying to produce milk. And actually, I want to share one more thing. I don't know whether that guy will be selecting in this year or not. Okay, so in mock interviews, one student came for the interview and he had a self-employed organization. He had his own organization of dairy. I asked a question like, okay, milk production. Can you tell me the status of India in milk production was the first question that I asked to him. And later on, I asked about this adulterated milk. Recently, adulterated milk is in news, and many people are getting health impacts because of consumption of adulterated milk. Can you tell me what are the compounds used in preparation of adulterated milk? And even one more question was supplemented to that. How can we check the quality of milk? Do you know? Based on the different ingredients that we use in this adulterated milk, we have different kinds of tests. So now you guys tell me which kind of materials will be used to make this adulterated milk. If you follow news, at least once or twice in a week, we'll get this news of adulterated milk. If we are boiling the milk is becoming into plastic. Have you ever seen this? No idea. Especially in this Hyderabad, if you want to buy a loose milk, it is very dangerous. Tell me how we can make an adulterated milk. Any idea? No idea. Have you ever seen that kind of news articles and news in the news or like in papers? Mixing of. First one, what can we do? How can we what is the meaning of adulteration? Adulteration is nothing but adding of other things so that the quality of that product will be compromised. That is called as adulteration. So normally milk is adulterated with water, yes or no? Normal in villages, what happens if they take 1 liter of milk, they will add 1 liter of water and they will try to sell. Based on the water quantity, the price will be varying, right? Yes or no? The majorly used product for adulteration of milk is water. It is not harmful. It is not that much harmful. Apart from this, do you know shampoos will be also used to make milk? Shampoos, urea, different types of oils, emulsifiers, and even do you know this baking soda, caustic soda? All this can be used to make adulterated milk. Yeah, so yeah, now let us see here. So have you understood now how you can expect a question? You can expect a question regarding the facts of milk in India. You have to say about the schemes related to cattle, and next Operation Flood and White Revolution 2.0. So these are the areas, and even you may get a question regarding this, which of the following can be used for adulteration of milk, because you have to know that for sure. Okay, now let us see this article clearly. Okay, 4 elderly persons have died from acute renal failure. You can see because of this consumption of adulterated milk, it is damaging the kidneys. Renal failure, and that led to the admissions of that so and so people in the nearby hospital, and the number of cases related to this are rising, especially in major cities. Okay, now let us see what is the meaning of milk adulteration. Milk remains a significant issue in India despite the country being the world's largest milk producer. And here in this milk adulteration, they are focusing on adding certain substances to increase volume. To increase volume, what we'll do, we'll add simply water. And this one is they are adding certain things to improve appearance of milk and to extend shelf life or to cut cost. That will lead to reduction of nutritional value in the milk. This concept is called as milk adulteration. Common methods of milk adulteration, first one is water, the most widespread adulterant. So why we are adding this water? To increase the quantity of milk. To increase the volume of milk, we will add this water. Because of this adding of water, what happens? The milk protein will be decreased, the milk fat content will be decreased, and nutrients in the milk will be obviously reduced. But this is not that much harmful for our health. And other substances that we can use here is, first one is detergent or laundry soap. You can imagine they are using detergents and laundry soap. Why they are adding this? To create foam and mimic creaminess. Have you ever seen, if you are freshly getting this milk from a cow, on this vessel we'll see like froth will be there. So to create that kind of appearance, you are using detergents and laundry soap. And next one is urea. You know about this urea, which we will use as a fertilizer in our fields. What is this urea contains? Phosphorus, nitrogen and potassium. NPK is present. Why they are using this urea is to show the protein content. Protein contains what? DNA contains nitrogen. So this urea is having this nitrogen. To show nitrogen content is present in this milk, they are adding this urea. And next one is neutralizers. If they are mixing all those things, so they have to blend properly, right? If they has to blend properly, we have to use neutralizers. What are these neutralizers? Caustic soda and sodium bicarbonate. And have you ever seen, if you're storing milk in your fridge for 2 days, we have a fear of, yes, if we are heating it up, it may break. At that time, what is a tip that we'll use? Add soda and keep that. Yes, have you ever used this tip? No idea. Why? Because it acts as a neutralizer. It will not allow the milk to break. And next one here is, even sometimes they will use starch, sucrose or milk powder, which increases the thickness of that milk. And next one is, if we add all those things, we'll get synthetic milk. Synthetic milk is made by chemicals like palm oil or soya bean oil. Have you ever did this experiment? If you take oil 2 to 3 drops and 2 to 3 drops of water, and if you go on continuously doing like this shaking, it will become a thick mixture. And normally that is a method which mainly used by our olden people as moisturizer also. Don't you know this? So the same way, they will go for mixing of chemicals like palm or soya bean oil, and in that they will add certain powders, urea, caustic soda, detergents, and finally they will produce a synthetic milk which will mimics normal milk. Okay, so this happened in Gujarat, and recently around 300 liters of this synthetic milk had been identified in this Gujarat, and they filed a case on them. Okay, so like this, lots of cases which had been there in Hyderabad also. In Hyderabad, we have plenty. Okay, so because of this, it is becoming a major problem in our country. So normally we'll think that milk is a one important source of calcium that should be consumed by children and elderly people, especially women after menopause. They will be having this problem of calcium. They have to take at least 250 ml of milk. If they are consuming this milk, will they get body strength? No, they have to go and admit in the hospital. That is a major problem. And one more thing here is our government is continuously focusing on increasing of this milk production. Why? Because we have to ensure protein sufficiency for the people also. But on another side, what is happening here? This kind of adulteration is happening. Okay, so here you have to see on this. And what will be the health impacts of consuming this adulterated milk? In short term, gastrointestinal issues like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Have you ever seen if we are going for a surgery, before surgery they'll give enema. Anyone, do you know this? What is enema? Enema is nothing but injecting of soap water so that our intestines will be getting cleaned. Why? Because if surgery happens means they will not allow to eat the food, no. And if surgery is happening, will that patient is able to go to washroom? No. At that time what happened here is, before getting into this surgery room itself, every intestine and stomach will be getting cleaned so that they will ensure that nothing is left in the stomach, so that they will not get washroom for 2 to 3 days like that. So here we are directly drinking this liquid detergent related water. What happens? Obvious that will leads to vomitings, diarrhea, everything. That is a short term problem. And even what happens, sometimes it leads to food poisoning also, because it is having urea. And next one is gastritis, abdominal pain, and this detergent will cause severe irritation in your intestines also. That will be the short term problems. And what will be the long term problems? The case here itself is saying that acute renal failure, that is nothing but kidney damage can happen. And next one is heart problems, irregular heartbeat. Next one is cancer risk is also there if they are using some other products like formalin. Formalin is a cancer causing agent, so it can also leads to cancer. And sometimes hormonal imbalances in women, nutrient deficiencies, and especially in children there will be stunting and malnutrition. Stunting is nothing but their height is low, they will not increase their height. Malnutrition, no, whatever the nutrients they need, they will not get that. So these are the long term and as well as short term impacts of consumption of this adulterated milk. And who are vulnerable here? Who will be getting more affected? Children and elderly, especially pregnant women will be getting more affected because of this adulterated milk. And this one is, if they are using clean water, it's okay. But if they are using contaminated water, what happens? Water related disease can happen. For example, cholera, diarrhea, jaundice, hepatitis, whatnot. So these are the different things. And now here, what is happening in this urban areas is, if you want to buy milk also, there is no safety. So because of this, even my children are around more than 2.5 years, even today I'll give only powder milk for them. You can understand what is the scenario in Hyderabad. We are getting fear that one bottle of this powder is 960 rupees per a box. It will not enough for even 2 days. Huh? Powder is also like that, but at least that will be tested for sure by FSSAI. That is somewhat better compared to that of this packets. Nandini's brand. Nandini's brand will be not available near my home. See here, next one. Interfaith marriages not prohibited under New UP conversion law, High Court. So what is this article talking about? Interfaith marriage. What is meaning of interfaith marriage? It is nothing but inter-religion marriage. It is not intercaste. It is inter-religion marriage. What is inter-religion marriage? Hindu is marrying Christian, or Christian is marrying Muslim, Muslim is marrying Hindu. One religion person is marrying, another religion person is called as interfaith marriage. Now you guys tell me, what is the problem of interfaith marriage or interreligious marriage? What is the problem? Right to religion is a fundamental right or not? Which articles talks about it? Again, ma'am is asking articles. Tell me. 25 to 28. Okay, 25 to 28 talks about right to religion. What exactly article 25 talks about? Anyone? Right to practice. Next. Only practice. Right to profess, right to practice. Tell me what is article 25 is about. Akash, 25. Harsha. Right to practice, profess and other things. Right to profess, propagate and practice religion comes under this article 25. Then what about conversions? Is that a fundamental right? Can you convert anyone into your religion? After marriage? Yes, see what Akash is saying, after marriage. Yes, we have this Akash-like mindset in our country, that is into this conversion into other religions. So because of this, we came up with this kind of laws in our country to prevent religious conversions. Are you understanding here? So Akash said that one way of converting religion is marrying someone. So because of this, what is happening here? Right to their religious freedom is getting affected. That is violating Article 25 of Indian Constitution. So because of this, different states came up with this anti-religious conversion law. Are you understanding? So here in this law, they are saying that interfaith marriages are not prohibited. So only whenever this interfaith marriages are happening, if there is conversion of the spouse into another religion, then only they will be getting punished under this UP conversion law. If after marriage, if there is no conversion of religion, then they will be not getting punished. Are you understanding? Have you understood here? Interfaith marriages are happening. After marriage also, there is no conversion of religion. Then there is no punishment. If interfaith marriage is happening and that led to conversion of religion, then what happened? They will be getting punished under this UP conversion law. Clear? That is this article is about. Now let us see the details of this law. You may get a question on this. Now Allahabad High Court ruled that interfaith live-in relationship do not attract penalties under Uttar Pradesh Prohibition of Unlawful Conversion Religion Act of 2021, as long as no religious conversion. If there is no religious conversion, no need, that will be accepted. If there is any religious conversion after marriage or during this live-in relationship, then they will be getting punished under this UP conversion law. Okay, Uttar Pradesh came up with this act, and the name of this act is UP Prohibition of Unlawful Conversion of Religion Act of 2021 based on ordinance. What is ordinance? When can we come up with ordinance? Who has the power to come up with ordinance? What is ordinance? If there is no session in the houses, then if there is any urgent public importance, if we have to pass a law, who will pass this? Governor and president, both of them have this power to make ordinance. Which article talks about it? 123 for president, and for governor 213. 123, 213 for governor and president. Okay. And what happens after once ordinance came up by the president? Do we need to pass in the house or not? Yes. What is the maximum life of ordinance? 6 months, 6 weeks. Okay, very good. So here they came up with ordinance in 2020. After once houses are in session, they passed that and it became an act in 2021 in UP. And here this act prohibits religious conversion for marriage through misinterpretation. If there is any marriage related to if there is any religious conversion related to force, fraud, allurements, then they will be getting punished under this act. Okay, what are the key aspects here? The first one here is constitutional validity. It challenged under Article 14, Article 20 and Article 25. If there is any forced conversion of people from one religion to another religion, it will affect right to equality, which comes under Article 14, and as well as Article 21, right to life and personal liberty will be getting affected, and Article 25, right to religious freedom will be getting affected. So because of this, they came up with this law. And next one here is burden of proof lies on accused or converted individual to prove the conversion was not fraudulent. If there is any case had been filed, so the person on whom there is accusation is there, and person who had been converted, so both has to show the proofs. And next one is Special Marriage Act of 1954 allows interfaith couples to marry without converting. So why now it is in news is, yes, this conversion law is saying that if you are going for this kind of religious conversions, we are getting punished. But here one act is there, that is Special Marriage Act. So Special Marriage Act is nothing but it will allows intercaste marriages, interreligious marriages. But this act is saying that yes, anyone can go for marrying of any person, but there should be no religious conversion. If there is no conversion, it is okay. So here now Allahabad High Court took this Special Marriage Act into consideration, and it said that yes, interfaith marriages are right, we can do it, but there should not be any conversion into religion. So here in this case you have to see these two acts. One is UP Conversion Act, second one is Special Marriage Act. Okay, yeah, that is the thing, guys. And here now Allahabad High Court said that forced conversions are invalid, but everyone has a right to choose a partner because it is part of their Article 21. But there should not be violation of Article 25. Okay. Yeah, see this image, guys. You can see NCC. Can you see this uniform NCC? How many of you have this NCC? Anyone? NCC related certificates or anything? NSS, not NSS, NCC. Very good. Cadet Corps. Okay, here you can see NCC cadets get a closer look at infantry combat vehicles during Milan 2026 naval exercise in Visakhapatnam. In our earlier classes, I said about Milan 2026 exercise. Can anyone tell me what we discussed in that class? Is it a multilateral or bilateral or unilateral exercise? It is biennial. Then how many countries are participating here this year? Tell me all those names. Come on, Akash. Start. How many countries are participating? When did we discuss that? 2 days ago only. Which countries are for the first time participating in this exercise in India? Germany, France, UAE. Okay, in total how many countries are participating this year? 70 countries. That means it is a multilateral or unilateral or bilateral. It is a multilateral. Read all those facts. There is a high chance of getting this question. Okay, see this next case. Doctors suspect neurotoxin to be a reason for seafood poisoning at hotel in Kerala. Kerala is very famous for seafood, yes, especially it is a coastal state in our country. Then what happened? What is the problem that we discussed in Kerala? Kerala is famous for what? Kayals. What are these kayals? They are called as backwaters. And I said it is nothing but it is a parallel water which is parallel to this Arabian Sea, yes. The problem in this Kerala here is most of this water bodies got polluted, especially the largest lake in Kerala called as Vembanad Lake, which is facing problem with this pollution. and there is increasing of human and as well as animal waste in this Vembanan lake. Okay, that is the one problem. And next one is recently in this Kerala coast, we discussed certain things like oil spill, thermoplastic nodules. Yes, major ships had been created some havoc across this coast of Kerala. Did we discuss that or not? At that time, I don't know whether you can recall it or not. At that time, we discussed that will leads to bioaccumulation, biomagnification. Have you heard about this concepts of bioaccumulation, biomagnification in your environment? What this concept is about? What is bioaccumulation? Do you know this food chain? What is food chain? What is food web? Is there any difference between food chain or food web, or both are same? Both are not same. Then what is the difference between chain and a web? Small fish, big fish, like that. So here there will be movement of energy in only one direction. It is unidirection. Then that is called as a food chain. Food web is nothing but interrelated food chains is called as food web. For example, fish is eaten by a crane. Okay, like the crane is eaten up by eagle is eaten up by someone. So like that, here we are having like interconnected food chains, and that is called as a food web. Food chain is only single unilinear chain. So what is happening in this Kerala here is because of oil spills, because of thermoplastic nodules, and because of some toxic materials which had been added in this water because of this kind of explosion and as well as accident of big cargo ship. What happened? Now in that area there is increasing of pollutants. So if small fish has ingested some toxic products, it will be transferred to next animal. If humans are consuming it, humans will also get that toxic products enter into their body. This concept is called as bioaccumulation and biomagnification. So these two are the things that you have to remember. So what is happening here? So now fishes are having certain toxic materials in their body, and we are catching that fish. We are doing different recipes, fries, curries, whatever it may be, and we are consuming it. And these toxins are entering into human body and they are causing certain illness. Because of this, there is increase in number of reporting of cases in Kerala because of this toxins now. Okay, clear? So now let us see what is the name of that toxin, and you have to write that name, guys. So now here food safety authorities as well as doctors who treated the persons hospitalized with acute condition after consuming the seafood from a restaurant have pointed to the possibility of neurotoxin. Because of this neurotoxin, they got illness. And that neurotoxin name is tetrodotoxin. Please make a note. Tetrodotoxin. Tetrodotoxin. UPSC has a tendency of asking this kind of toxins. This is seen recently in news, what it is. They will ask you like fertilizer, pesticides, pollutants, or like neurotoxin. Okay, so they will be giving you in this way question. So you have to be very much careful. So this tetrodotoxin is a neurotoxin. What is neurotoxin? In toxins, we have mainly two types of toxins. First one is hemotoxin. Second one is neurotoxin. Hemo means related to blood. If that toxin after entering into your body, if it is attacking your blood cells, or if your blood is clotting immediately, then that is called as hematotoxin. Neurotoxin is it is affecting your nerves and as well as brain and spinal cord. Then that is called as neurotoxin. Okay, in toxins we have two toxins. Even in the snake poisons also we have two types of poisons, hemopoietic and neuropoietic. Hemotoxins or hemopoietic, that will target your blood system. Blood will be immediately coagulating, blood will be turning into the black color. In the blood, the carbon dioxide content will be increasing rapidly like that. And other kinds of toxin is neurotoxin. It will be attacking your brain and spinal cord and your spines. Okay, So in the same way, this toxin is neurotoxin, the name is tetrodotoxin. Okay, if you're talking about this neurotoxin, it will be affecting your neurological symptoms, especially your brain, spinal cord and nerves will be getting affected, so that you will be having symptoms like limb weakness, you cannot walk properly, balancing of your body issues can be seen, and difficulty in sitting, and that may also leads to paralysis, etc. So this kind of toxins are called as neurotoxins. And this one here is, whenever this neurotoxin is entering into your body, within a short duration of time, like even less than 5 hours itself, you will be getting the symptoms. This is as much as fast. Okay guys, that's it. And see this article, self-reliance key to India's ambition of becoming maritime superpower. What is the keyword? Self-reliance is one keyword, maritime superpower. Now you guys tell me why India wants to become a maritime superpower. Because one important reason is India wants to improve its dominance in Indo-Pacific region, and the power shift is happening from Atlantic towards Indo-Pacific region. That is the first important reason. And next one is to counter China. Obviously, India has to become a maritime superpower. Next, India is leader of Global South. So to raise the voice of this Global South, also India has to become a maritime superpower. And India is also having a largest coastline of 11,090 kilometers. So because of this, India is having a huge leverage to improve its power. And even we have Andaman and Nicobar Islands also part of India, and we have Lakshadweep. So in this Nicobar region, we are going for this Great Nicobar Island project to improve our leverage in our waters, right? Okay, now let us see here, to improve India's power in this maritime arena, what can we do here in India? We have to improve what? Ports. Yes, and we have to go for development of our coastal region. Do we have any scheme related to improvement of our ports and coastal region in India? What is that project? Come on, think. You know this. Sagarmala project? Yes or no? In that Sagarmala project, we are focusing on what? Shipbuilding industries, and we are going for development of ports. So actually this article, why it is in news is, here you can see the Sagarmala program has been witnessing a reduction in funds. The problem here is the Sagarmala project is not getting enough funds. Because of this, it is going to affect our ambition of maritime superpower in India. Because of this, it is in news. Are you understanding? So India wants to become a big power in this maritime arena. And even in this paragraph, they said that India cannot depend on foreign ships all the time. If we want to grow our own, and we have a principle called as self-reliance or Atmanirbhar Bharat, and we want to create that kind of ecosystem in our country itself, and we have to take leadership in this sector. So for that, our Prime Minister also came up with two dedicated parts to achieve this maritime superpower. Please make a note. First one is Maritime India Vision 2030. First one is Maritime India Vision 2030. Second one is Maritime Amrit Kal Vision 2047. First one is Maritime India Vision 2030. Next one is Maritime Amrit Kal Vision 2047. And as part of this, by 2030, India will be one of the top 10 shipbuilding nations in the world. Okay, so here we have lots of ambitions, but the funds which are getting to this project is very less. That means we have to increase the funds for this so that we can achieve our aim of becoming maritime superpower. That is this article is about. Clear? Are you understanding? You have to remember these two, and these two you can use as value addition in your answers. Okay, see this article guys, stick together. India and Brazil have realized the importance of their groupings. In yesterday's class, we discussed everything clearly about this Lula, what he said, and he said about BRICS, de-dollarization, CBDC currencies, and we have to form a union and we have to fight against this US tariffs, everything. Okay, see this next article, guys, and this year this article will become very, very important. And students who are writing this year prelims, please keep star mark for this. For sure, 100% will get question regarding election commission. Okay, see here on the independence of election commission. Okay, if you see about our election commission, why we came up with this election commission, what is the function of election commission of India? It has to conduct free and fair elections, right? So if election commission has to conduct free and fair elections, what it needs independence. Yes or no? If there is no independence, if there is no autonomy, can it conduct its work without any discretion? No. So actually what is now happening here is Election Commission of India is conducting SIR. SIR is nothing but Special Intense Revision in different states of our country, and recently it said that whatever the states which had been left out, we are going to start this SIR from April in the leftover states also in our country, so that we can make our voter list transparent, accountable, clean by removing ghost voters and also duplicate voters, everything, right? But on another side, there are increasing of petitions in different courts regarding the removal of these names in the voter list. And even Supreme Court also intervened and asked questions to Election Commission of India regarding this, why you removed all those names. And what answer this ECI gave? Article 324, Article 325 and Article 326. What is Article 326? You may get question regarding Article 326 this year. Yes, adult suffrage. What is this adult suffrage is about? Right to vote? Yes? Okay. Which Constitutional Amendment Act reduced the voting age from 21 to 18? 61 Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay. So here EC is saying that court is intervening and lots of opposition parties are asking questions regarding this ECI. So how can we ensure free and fair elections in 2029? That is the question which is raised here. That means you have to see about details of Election Commission of India. In your Lakshmikant, whenever you open this page of Election Commission, you will be having this paragraph ditto. That is nothing but Article 324 provides for Election Commission and Chief Election Commissioner and other commissioners. And in 1989, the commission was made as a multi-member, but the two additional posts were abolished in 1990. Again in 1993, they came up with multi-member commission body. So like that, all these basic details of this election commission you need to know. You have to know articles, you have to know composition of this election commission, and you have to know appointment process, you have to know removal process, and as well as what are their functions and who is eligible to become this election commissioner or election commission of chief election commissioner. And even you have to see what are the issues now, and you have to see about SIR and especially Article 326. All these things are given in this article. Just go through your Lakshmikant once, that's it, and keep star mark for this chapter. Each and every nook and corner you have to know regarding this ECI for sure. ECI and UPSC this year. Two questions, and next one is speaker, next one is vice president. These four are for sure expected topics in your polity from prelims. I don't know how will you cover this, and if any question comes in this area, you need to answer that for sure. Then you will be having 8 to 10 marks in your pocket. 8 to 10 marks for sure from these four topics only. Okay, yeah, now let us see the questions. See the questions. Assertion and reasoning based question. First one, packaged and pasteurized milk from major brands is generally safer than loose milk sold by local vendors. Reason, packaged milk undergoes stricter quality testing and pasteurization process, while loose milk in the organized sector is more prone to dilution with water and addition of harmful chemicals. Select the correct answer using the code given below. A and R is true. R is correct explanation of A. B, both are true but not explanation. A is true, R is false, R is false, and A is true. Yes, rather than buying the loose milk, at least we can buy some packaged pasteurized milk. Like some companies will be there, like Amul. Mother Dairy, Nandini. So like that we can take certain milk packets rather than the loose milk. Okay, loose milk is very dangerous. Huh? You have to check the quality. And one more thing here is, if you want to check the starch, we can use iodine test. Do you know iodine test? In your school days, I think you might have did this. If you add iodine, starch will convert from white color to blue color. We can do that test. And regarding nitrogen, we can go for litmus test. Litmus test. And regarding water, we can use that meter, lactometer, to test the water content in that. So like that, we have different tests that we can do for this milk also. So you can take the milk packets and you can go for testing. At least that will be somewhat safe compared to that of completely this loose milk. Loose milk is very dangerous. And even some milk packets will be sold in the market without any name of that company or anything, just white color paper they will be selling. That will be like more dangerous. Okay, see here, next question. Consider the following statements. The Election Commission of India became a multi-member body consisting of Election Commission and 2 election commissioners in 1993. All election commissioners have equal powers in decision making, and CEC does not have any overriding authority. The EC has the power to resolve disputes related to splits or mergers of recognized political parties. Which of the statements are correct? Come on. Huh? Second correct. Second is wrong because you are saying all. So we have one election, 2 election commissions will be there, 1 CEC will be there, no? In that election commission, CEC will be having more powers than election commission. This second is wrong. Answer is 1 and 3. Okay. So read statements once again, Govind. Online students, by this I'm concluding. Thank you so much guys for watching. And if you want to start your UPSC journey, we are going to launch new batch for GS Prelims cum Mains Foundation, our academy, from tomorrow itself. And if you want to join this course either online or offline, please do contact us on this number 8074765513 guys. And one more thing here is, if you like this class, please do hit the like button, please do share this class to your friends, and please do subscribe to Rathod Science Academy. Thank you so much.